Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is KidLee, and we're going to take a look at the new game of Banished that was released a few short weeks ago. The first thing to note is this game is made by Shining Rock Software. This company consists of one guy. One guy made this game, and the funny thing is, it has better simulation than the new SimCity, so that is pretty funny. This game is classified as a city-building strategy game where you control a group of exiled or banished travelers who have decided to restart their lives in this new glorious land. So one of the first questions right from the start might be, does this game directly replace the new SimCity? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't like that game. There's too many issues with it. But to answer that question, I would say maybe, yes and no. The first thing we gotta set straight is, again, I said it was a city building strategy game. I would not use that terminology for this game. This is more of a village building game with survival elements, which we will get into here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and kick this off. We'll take a look at the options, because some people like looking at this stuff. You've got some pretty classic options for a village building game. If we go under video, it does run DirectX 9C and 11, and you've got AA, shadow resolution, shadow quality, reflection, some pretty good stuff. I've got everything cranked out to the max. A few different slider bars for volume. I got everything turned down to minimum for video purposes, and you are able to rebind your keys if you choose to do so. So we'll go ahead and hit cancel on that, and we're going to load up a new game. So you can actually name your town. We'll call this New Avalon. It's the town I like to use. And you can actually hit this button if you want, and it randomly generates your map every single time. But it gives you a number at least. If you want to play a new map again, you can actually I think you can actually go in here and change this. Yeah, you can. There you go. So if you had a really good map that you like in previous games, you can write down the number and just play it again. A terrain type, we have got valleys and mountains, terrain sizes, different climates, and that might change your difficulty a little bit. You can do straight up disasters on and off. And then there are different starting conditions. For the purpose of this video, we will go ahead and set it on easy. So we'll do an OK on that, and it will load us into our game. And you can probably tell just from this screenshot alone that if you were to set a time frame on this, you're talking, I don't know, 1600s, 1700s, something along those lines. It's wooden houses, or they get into stone houses a little bit, and you're messing with your crops. And why is it snowing already? That's a very bad sign. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pause this. So here is our random map that we got generated. Let's actually zoom out here a little bit. So it looks like we've got a nice little lake. We've got some rivers that are flowing in and out of our land. And this, wow, this is actually a terrible spot. Wow, I don't like this spot at all. If I was going to continue this game, I would quit this immediately, because I don't like this spot. Because I'm like encased around this little mountain area here. So it's going to be very difficult for me to expand. Actually, you know what? I don't even think I can. I'm going to actually, I'm going to quit out of this. And let's go for something different. I just don't like that spot at all. Valleys, large, fair. All right, let's try that again. Yeah, I didn't like that spot. So we're gonna try something. Try something a little better, because you need more open land. It's really hard to navigate around those mountains. You do have the ability to build tunnels and bridges and all that stuff. All right, let's go ahead and pause this again. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, this one is a little bit better. We got a river. We're kind of surrounded here. We got a lake on one side, a river on the other. This is manageable. Might have to build a bridge across here, houses on the other side. I'm just kind of thinking ahead, which I probably shouldn't be. Okay. So, we have got our people. We have a herd of sheep. We have got the storage barn, and then these are the houses, and then this area here is your stockpile. So, your wood and all of your resources go into your stockpile, and then all of your food and tools and everything else go into the storage barn. Now, first of all, when the game launches, like we just did, it actually starts with no interface, except for these buttons down at the bottom. So the first thing you have to do is actually decide what pieces of the interface you want on. So we have got the generic stat page, which we want, and this will tell us basically the year. And this line here, we have 12 adults and 9 children. It's early spring. The temperature is 37, and it was raining before I paused it. And then we have got basically a average health of citizens, the average happiness of citizens, and then here are our main materials. You have got logs or wood. You've got firewood. You've got your food, your stone, your coal, your medicine, your iron, your tools, your clothes or coats, and of course alcohol. Let's go ahead and bring up number 2, which is our vent log. This is pretty nice. I like putting this right about there. And this just basically tells you stuff that is going on. If you want to, there is a mini-map. This I actually don't use, because there's real no point, in my opinion, at the moment. Then we have got the assigned jobs, which is this screen. I'll take this one, and I'm going to put it all the way over in the corner here. And this is where a lot of your micromanaging comes in this game. You have all of these different jobs. I'll just roll through them here real quick. You've got laborer, builder, farmer, herdsman, gatherer, fisherman, hunter, woodcutter, forester, herbalist, blacksmith, brewer, tailor, vendor, trader, miner, stonecutter, teacher, physician, and cleric. So you have to micromanage your citizens to these different jobs. Now, let's just briefly look at other interface options. You have the option to show limits placed on resources, which is this item. Again, I don't really use this because the way that I do it is once I actually get those particular buildings up, I just click on the buildings to set what I want on those. You've got an increased priority deal. This is for when you're building or gathering. You can increase priority on those items, and you can actually show the paths of the citizens if you want to mess around with that. So, we need to go ahead and get this game going. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start clear-cutting the land around my town. Mining all of this iron and the stone and all the trees. So we're going to get the game back to resume 1 on my speed. And I'm actually going to say here real quick. In SimCity, what people do is they'll mess with the speed slider all the time. They'll just crank it up to max speed and just let things roll. In this game, you cannot do that. This game is very, very brutal on your resources. Like right now I'm at 1,400 food. That can drop down to nothing very, very quickly. And if you're running this at max speed, this game will totally penalize you for that. And this game has sort of a point of no return policy to where once your people start suffering or you start running into major issues, it's almost impossible to recover from that. So I have a very big successful village going, which we'll take a look at later, and I was able to do that based on just running it on this normal speed the entire game. Okay, so we need to get into clear cutting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my removal tool, and I can just select like all this area of land, and you see all the little red dots. It's basically just area that, you know, rocks, trees, whatever, that's going to get removed. So we need to remove all this. Let's remove all this. Move all this. And actually, you know what? I'm going to keep this area here, because this is where I'm going to send like my hunters and my gatherers. So we'll clear everything to the left or west of the town, and we'll keep everything to the right. I think that's how we're going to play this. So that you see the people, we'll zoom in here a little bit. All the people are going out, and they're starting to cut down the trees and mine all the stuff. The other issue we're going to have here is I'm going to have to build another stockpile immediately, because we're already at 69%, and I'm pretty sure everything I just highlighted is going to put me over that. So let's go into... We have homes and housing. You can build different houses. Different kinds of roads and bridges and tunnels. Here's your storage. We can build more barns, which I highly recommend doing early on, having at least 2 barns going. Your stockpile, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. Where should we put it? Let's leave a little bit of space, and then let's put it right like that. Now, we don't have a builder assigned, so I need to go up to my professions, and I need to assign 1 person as a builder. So it removes a laborer and adds a builder. Now, while my people are doing that, let's take a look at some of the other things we can build. You've got stuff like your well, your schoolhouse, your hospital, your town hall, your chapel, your cemetery, and here's our sort of food options, your crop fields, your orchards, your pasture. We need to get these sheep in a pasture because they're just kind of running wild. Fishing dock, which we'll build fairly soon. The hunting cabin, which will go in the woods, and a gathering hut, which will go in the woods. And then you've got your sub-professions, your woodcutters, your forester, your herbalist, blacksmith, tailor, your tavern, your mine, and your quarry. Now, the game does not have any combat, and it does not have, like, any sort of technology tree. So basically, all of the options that I've given you are the options you have for the game. Now, the big thing we have to do here is, again, we're in early spring. When winter hits, things are going to get brutal real quick. And the other thing right now is I have no food incoming, so I've got to fix that immediately as well. As I said, I have 9 children. Children in this game are basically worthless. They are nothing but a drain on resources. So you might be able to start to slowly see how the survival part of this game comes in. I mean, your people will literally starve to death. They will freeze to death if you don't have stuff going right. We have got to get that other stockpile built. Where's my builder? He's slacking off. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to 2 builders, because we've got to get some food incoming. And we have got to get, like, my priorities for this first year is food and firewood. We've got to get that done. So let's not mess around here. And let's see here. Food production. I'm going to go ahead and set up a hunting cabin. And you see there's sort of a ring around the hunting cabin. If I zoom out, here is like the hunting radius. So you can see the little arrows on the right side of the building. That is this sort of indication on where you can put your sidewalks or your roads. And you can actually hit the T button and it'll spin it around. So we want our hunting cabin right in the middle of our little forest over here. So we're going to put it right about there. And then I'm going to right click to remove that. So you can see they're doing a decent job, but they've already sort of cleared this area. And I already got an event log. The storage for logs and stone and iron is nearly at capacity. What are we at now? We're at 99%. So our builder, wherever he is slacking at, he needs to get this stockpile built. So this is where we can move over and hit this priority deal. And I forget what option that was under. Where was that at? I think it was under tools. Yeah, here we go. Let's see here. Increase priority. on this area. We need this done. People, we need this done, and it is raining. You can see visually, again, I told you I had everything maxed out. It's definitely not a bad looking game for being created by one guy, and I think this entire game was coded in C++, I read. But the rivers and the water look really nice. I really like the rain and snow effects. It's pretty good stuff. Okay, now that builder's going. 3 out of 4, 75% complete. And then we need to get the other thing going. I also need to get some roads built. Just kind of sit on that screen here for just a second. You guys are doing a good job of clear cutting. Just chop down that tree. Okay, there we go. It is done. So now I've got a whole new stockpile they can start putting stuff. Next, we have got to get the hunting cabin built. So the laborers, basically, the laborer's job in this game is to basically do nothing but resource management. So the laborers, if they're doing fresh cuts like they are here, they can take stuff directly from the fresh cuts to the hunting cabin location, or from the stockpiles to the hunting cabin location. But you'll see, you know, I have 7 trees or rocks or whatever to remove in that location, and then the hunting cabin requires 34 logs, 12 stone, and a 45 build. So we're basically just waiting for the laborers to get stuff on the hunting cabin. And again, I think I'm going to have to increase priority, because getting stuff done in this first year is so important. Get that done, guys. Because we're already in spring, in like the dead of spring. So we've got to get stuff done, otherwise the winter will kill us all. But I've had a ton with the... Wow, I can't talk. I was gonna say I've had a ton of fun in this game. For me personally, it has replaced SimCity, but you can see that this is definitely not the game where you're gonna be building like a massive city that expands, you know, this entire region or whatever. I think over an extended period of time, if you are really slow and careful about it, you might be able to pull that off. But the core of this game is survival, not city building or village building. It's all about managing your resources and managing your people. Alright, everything is starting to show up here. 1% complete, because we're starting to clear the area out. Good job, guys. Now, I think we need to get these sheep in a more manageable position. So let's see here. We need us a pasture. We're going to build it out here near the water. Let's do, and you can actually set, see there's a 7x7. I want to go a little bit bigger than a 7x7. Let's go a 7 or an 810 maybe? 811? Let's go 811. Because once you have an animal like sheep, cows, chicken, whatever in the pasture, then you can actually start getting the resources from them. Like in my other game, I've got chickens. So chickens do 2 things. 1, they lay eggs, so I've got eggs. And 2, once they reproduce and I get over my limit, then you butcher them and you have like chicken meat. So when they're just when the sheep are just, you know, out in the middle of our courtyard here, they're just going to just sit there and just do nothing. They're worthless. But as soon as our hunting cabin is completed here, we'll be able to get some hunters out and start getting some deer. Wonder if I can actually see any deer on this map. Ah, here's some. Right there. But deer give you, you know, meat and hide, which you'll be able to make coats off of. So that's pretty cool stuff. The soundtrack for this game I actually enjoy. I might have to, maybe near the end of the video, I'll crank up all the sounds so you guys can actually hear the sounds. But here the hunting cabin is going up slowly. And you can see the laborers are already starting to put resources over on the pasture. We're already 10 out of 34 on the logs. But the simulation in this game is actually pretty deep. I mean, you'll do crazy stuff like if I were to set up the fishing deal and have my people eat nothing but fish, health-wise, that's very, very bad, and that will actually start taking down the health of the citizens. You have to give them a wide variety of foods. So the game does stuff like that. And that can knock down the happiness as well, and they won't have kids, and then your civilization dies. It can get pretty crazy. I've had some random deaths. I had a fisherman drown once. I had somebody die in like a rock slide. And when you lose people, then they get replaced by whoever's open for laborers, and it can get pretty crazy. But this is sort of the core concept of this game. I think what we'll go ahead and do now is let's switch over to my big town. Well, it's not even really that big. But I'll be able to show you a well-established village. So let's see here. New Avalon. This one, I think. But I've put a lot of time into this one. Okay, so let me explain what I've got here. First of all, I've got 39 adults and 4 kids. Now, what I've done in order to create a town of this size is I've sort of set thresholds for all of my resources. Like, for instance, my threshold for this village is 4,000 food. If I ever drop below 4,000 food, I will automatically start adding more people into food production. But like I sort of explained before, just your resources are everything in this game. You run out of food, your people starve, and it's game over. So I've sort of mentally created minimum thresholds for all of my resources, and whenever I drop below a certain threshold, I immediately put additional people on it. So in the case of there actually being an issue, again with food, it would have to burn down 4,000 food in order for me to hit the starving point. So I have a very long time to try and recover from any issues. Okay, so let's take a look at this town here. I've actually got some stone houses and some still wooden houses. I've got 2 storage barns. That one's at 100% full, and this one is at 30% full. I have got 3 stockpiles. Here I've got 2 fishing huts going, and right now this one's got 3 fishermen, and this one has got also 3, so yeah, 6. I've got 2 chicken coops. Initially I started with 1, and then I built this slightly bigger one. I migrated them over, and it got to 10. And then I was able to split them 5 and 5, and then from there, now this one has 12 and this one has 9. So I've got quite the chicken facility going. Down here, I have got a tailor shop and I have got a blacksmith. The blacksmith, you can make different kinds of tools. Like here's iron tools, here's steel tools, based on your resources. And the tailor can make different clothes or coats. Here's a hide coat, wool coat, warm coat. And I actually just built a schoolhouse, so I don't have any students yet. That literally just went up, but I only have 4 kids right now, and I think they're all like under 1 year old. And I just built the town hall, and the town hall basically gives you just stats and even more stats. And it gives you, this is kind of neat, there's different, as I sort of mentioned, there's different kinds of livestock, but there's also different kinds of seeds. And depending on what seed you may or may not have, that determines whether or not you can grow corn or apple trees or pear trees or pumpkins or whatever. And in order to get more seeds or livestock or whatever, you need one of these buildings, and you have to put it on a river. And this is a trading post. So every once in a while, a trading guy comes by on his boat, and he'll have stuff to sell. Like, I just picked up, what the heck was it I picked up? I picked up another kind of seed. Let me actually go back to the town hall here for a second. I think it was the squash seed. I think I picked that up for the first time, so. But I don't even have any, like, gardens or any of that going. I've been just concentrating on, I have a small apple orchard, and this has been doing pretty good for me, so that's all I've been doing. As far as my other food locations, like I said, I have the 2 fishing huts, got the chickens, got apples, and then up over in here, sort of away from the town a little bit, surrounded in all the forest, I have got a forester's lodge here, and then here I've got a hunt, or this is the gatherer's hut. So I got 4 people who are doing nothing but gathering. And so if we go back to the barns here real quick, you know, they have berries, they have roots, mushrooms, herbs, onions. What's this one have? Anything different? Yeah, somebody just took a bunch of stuff out of there. But again, like I said before, food variety is the key. And then here we've got the straight up hunting cabin. I got 4 people who just do nothing but hunt deer all day. So it's been working out pretty good for me. I have a fairly wide variety of food, but it could be better. My hearts up here, I was down to 3.5 hearts, and then I added, I think it was apples, got me back up to 4.5. And so far, my stars have been sitting at 4.5 pretty much the entire game. So yeah, so far this one's going pretty good. I'm actually looking to expand, because as I get more people, the food facilities that I have now are pretty well maxed out. I mean, I can add a few more fishermen, but I need more gatherers and hunters. So I actually have this road that I just got done building. Actually, she's still working on it. You can see her down there. But I'm going to put up another hunting lodge and gather up here. So again, if I actually click on the gatherer's hut, you can see where this circle sort of ends. So it's going to go up in here somewhere. And then way over here, I've got a graveyard, which has 6 graves in it. I just got to the point where people are actually dying of old age. So they're dying in like their late 60s, early 70s, and then this thing here, this is a quarry, because one of the biggest issues that I've had, and again, my starting location was right here. And if you look at all the clear cutting that I've done. I've clear cut all of this, I've clear cut this, some in here, but I've had a real issue trying to get stone. I mean, if you look on the map, it's like all this area, there's no stone. I mean, here's a little bit here, a little bit here. But if we go over here, it's like I've cut all this, and then all through here, there's virtually no stone left. I mean, there's some over here, but all in here, no stone. All in here, no stone. All in here, no stone. So it's like if I want stone now, I have to go like way over here, which doesn't really seem that far, but when you've got people who are manually carrying stone like a few at a time, that's a pretty long distance to walk to put it all the way over here. So it takes time, and it's definitely something you don't want to do in the winter. I should maybe explain what these different symbols mean. Like here, there's 2 question marks. Basically, the ones with question marks mean that I don't have anybody working on these locations right now. Again, I talked about my minimum threshold. My maximum threshold for tailoring and tools is 70, and right now I'm at 61 and 65. So I don't need anybody working at these 2 locations. This little symbol here, this is the woodcutter. The woodcutter maximum threshold is 400, and they just hit 417. So that's telling me that I've hit my threshold, so I can come up here to my professions, and I can remove the woodcutter. and that now turns to a question mark. So I no longer need somebody working on a woodcutter. But I got sidetracked there for a minute. Anyway, so I have a quarry, and the quarry just produces stone for me all the time. So I don't have to go out and look for stone. So I have 3 people doing stone cutting, which is actually not enough. I need more people doing that. And then something I sort of skimmed over before was the Forester Lodge. What they do is they'll cut down old trees and plant new ones. And that's all they do. So I basically have unlimited wood. And with this deal, well, right now I've only got 1 person doing it, but I normally run 4. And just 1 forester with 4 people doing it, that's all the logs that I've ever needed. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the game of Banished. Like I said, I've had a ton of fun playing this. If I were to try and come up with a couple of gripes about the game, there really aren't too many things I can complain about. I would say that I wish there was a multiplayer aspect of this, because a couple of my buddies and I were talking about that. It'd be so cool to, you know, trade resources and have towns like, here's my town and another buddy has his town, you know, like miles and miles down the road, and that would be really cool. But the guy who developed this said that the code just isn't going to support multiplayer, so it's never going to happen. So hopefully he makes a lot of money in this and he creates Banished 2, and maybe that'll support multiplayer, so we can always hope for that. I'd say maybe a couple other little things would be, as I said, this game is hard, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you're one of those people who likes every little thing explained to you, the tutorial in this game is okay, but there's a lot of discovery in this game. There are things that are not necessarily explained to you, like some of the aspects of the simulation aren't necessarily explained. So it's very much trying to figure out some of this stuff on your own. So if you're one of these people who don't like to figure out stuff on your own, then you probably won't like this game. And if you're a person who is a huge fan of SimCity and you want a game that's fast-paced and you're going to build these massive cities, I would say this is also not the game for you. But if you like, you know, nice, steady-paced simulation with a lot of micromanagement and, you know, able to build these towns and have a lot of fun doing it, then Banished is a great game. But yep, that will go ahead and do it for this video. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave comments below. If you want me to do more on this game, let me know and I will consider it. But yep, with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.